Hey, it's your girl, Allison Williams.
Hey, this is Devon Howard.
Hi, this is Beth.
Hi, this is Cindy Mizell.
Hi, this is Tony Walker.
Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Darian Dean.
Hey, everybody. This is the Queen of Philadelphia, Tangeray Hayward.
Hey, everybody. This is Yazira.
Hi, this is Mason.
Hey, everybody. This is Russell Taylor.
Hey, this is Shireen Crutchfield.
And this is Ricky Jones.
And we are Crutchfield Jones.
Hey, this is Corey Day.
Hey, this is your girl, Castella.
Hey, everybody. This is Rebecca G.
Hey, everyone. This is Hill Street Soul.
What's up, good people? This is bassist Hubert Eves the Fourth.
This is Melvin Lee Davis.
Yo, what's shaking? This is Noel Gordine, and you're listening to my man, Troy Saunders, on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast, baby.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the BAAS Entertainment Podcast. Oh, forgot about the music here. It's your host, Mr. Troy Saunders. Welcome, y'all. In case you didn't know what BAAS Entertainment, what we do over here, we offer listening experiences for the indie artist aficionado. In other words, we just give you good music. Yeah, we just give you some good music, whether it's R&B, whether it's jazz, whether it's soul, whether it's house, whether it's inspirational. As long as it is good music, you're going to hear it here. You know, so I just want to thank you all for checking us out and listening in all 32 countries that we are listened to in. And hey, thank you once again for coming and being a part of this show. Now, to get to the artist that we have today, this gentleman has been doing it hard for, oh my God, just about 25 years. And he is a gentleman that crosses all genres. You know, it's a little jazz, a little alternative, it's a little R&B. It's uplifting. It always has a message in it. It's a little world music, a little pop, a little hip hop. The man even raps a little bit. So, yeah, Mr. Kenny Allen does it all, y'all. And what I love the most is that it's pure. Everything that he does comes straight from the heart, and you can feel it in every song. So I'm going to take us back to like 1997 to off his first offering. I believe it's the first offering. And he was going by the name of K. Allen back then. Yes. And this is off of Coco. And the song is called Turn Back. So check it out. I hope you all enjoy it.
There she was, slowly dying. Wouldn't be long before she was called away. She had lost all courage, and it was hard to see her suffering. So I stayed close enough for her to know I really cared, far enough to hide my feelings, but I didn't want to add my worries. If I could turn back the head, I could turn back the head. If I could turn back the head, I could turn back the head. If I could turn back the head, I could turn back the head. If I could turn back the head. In her eyes, there were stories of hard times and years of struggling.
Yeah. You know what? That gives me a little Stevie Wonder up in there. Too high, too high. Give me a little too high up in there. So without further ado, you hear Kenny in the background. He's agreeing with me. I'm going to introduce you to you all, Mr. Kenny Allen.
Hey, man, how you doing today? Great to be here. Great to be here.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm glad you're here. How are you doing today? I'm well.
I'm so good, so blessed. It's the end of a beautiful little fall season. Weather's beautiful.
Yes.
And just enjoying life and, making the most of it.
That's all we can do, one day at a time,
Indeed.
So we're going to get to the latest album, which is incredible. But, I have to give people a little taste of, what brought you to the latest album.
No doubt. It's been a long journey, beautiful long journey, I feel like I'm just getting started, really.
Well, I feel the same way. Once you hear the progress and the progression of the music, I feel like you're just getting started also.
Indeed.
So let me ask you, are you born and raised in DC?
Yeah, born and raised in Washington, DC. Spent most of my life here. Went to college at University of Maryland, and pretty much was here until about 16, 17 years ago. But we'll definitely get to that point through the whole interview. But yeah, I'm a DC native, proper DC, proper born in a DC hospital kind of DC native.
And was music always part of your household? Or?
No doubt. Both of my parents are musicians. So, it was like when kids were outside playing football and stuff like that, I was picking up instruments and learning how to play things, and just really early on just started like a songwriter's journey, like always loved creating my own original music. So it was so natural. And I didn't even really think of it as a career until very late in my life, comparatively speaking. So, I was just writing these songs and like, that was just a part of, I'm like, doesn't everybody write songs?
No. Has there been any artists that you have written for that you have recorded your songs besides yourself?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Mostly I have written and recorded for myself. Recently in the last year, I wrote a song for the artist Mesa, which whom I'm very proud of. She's a giant in her own right. And she's definitely actually, I think it was the connection between you and I. Like she sort of was very, it's great when you see a person who's well established, who really doesn't have to like put in a good word for you or like put you on display. And I think that's the true measure of a great artist is an artist that's not afraid to put another person, in the spotlight. It only makes you a better artist when you do that.
I agree. I mean, but so many artists are insecure,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want anybody else to get in the spotlight because they feel it's going to take away from their shine. But to me,
I always believe that if you are the person that introduces someone else, that makes you even higher tier, And I learned that from a good friend of mine, Wes Felton, W. Ellington Felton. He would always include other people and always have features. And I was like, well, I do everything myself, but it wasn't until later in life that I realized the power in getting other people involved. It's a more expansive way of doing things.
I agree. Yep, and you're right. It was Mesa because she put up the single that you released, "The Great Lonely Lover."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I like that."
That was a pivotal moment. It was the first time I really felt like it was okay to be vulnerable on a record. As you said, like my message and my mantra in music was always to promote a sense of hope, a sense of peace, a sense of a spiritual side. But that was the first time I said, you know what, I'm gonna wear it on my sleeve like big time, and just really speak from what I was feeling at that moment, unfiltered. And it was a turning point. It really was the jump off to the album that I just released. So.
And I loved it. And I love the latest album. But, it seems like, if you listen to your catalog, it seems like a lot of the songs would still showed a little vulnerability anyway. They're almost like, they're almost autobiographical,
Yeah. I was never, out here trying to like like see, oh, what would everybody like? Like, I think that's that's the through line in my whole career, is that I always wrote songs that were really about things that I was going through or people near to me were going through. And really it's all been a sort of like therapeutic journey for me. You know, music has just been a vehicle for me to get through this, you know, unrehearsed, unmanualized thing we call life. So, you know, I just always put it out there. But to say that I'm hurting was never sort of a theme in early music. It was always like, oh, I'm going to be all right. Which is still there. But, you know, it was the first time I ever said, you know what, I don't feel good right now, you know? And because I always felt like that would show, a lack of hope. Yeah. So it's interesting that song was definitely a turning point for me.
You know what? Let's play a little bit of The Great Lonely Lover. You know, since this is the song that opened my ears to your music. Thank you to Mesa to turn me on to this. And I love this song. Check it out, y'all.
To the park on cloudy days, get lost in the wilderness in the gentle rain, listen to sweet music, lights down low, and watch how the moon seeps through my window. I cook for two and it's only me. Drink wine straight from the bottle. New shoes, new hat, new clothes. Get dressed and go nowhere. I'm a loner, I'm a dreamer, I'm a catch, I'm a keep waiting to be discovered. If no one finds me here, I'll become the rest of me. I'll be the great lonely lover. The great lonely lover.
So I'm going to go back to again to the K Allen days.
Yeah, you know, a big shout out to my main man, Sean the Rick Rickman. He's been a mentor to me since I was 8 years old. Like he was like he's a drummer and a multi-instrumentalist. And when I was 8, he was 10. And I mean, by 10, he was already out gigging with like grown folks. You know, his father played on Michael Jackson record. Father is a well-known guitarist, Phil Upchurch.
Oh, I know
his
Phil
mother.
Upchurch, yeah. I don't know personally, but I know who he is. Yeah.
So Sean the Rick Rickman, he produced that first record, Coco, and then on that record also is a keyboardist by the name of Federico Pena, who's also a very dear mentor to me, and they sort of connected me to Michelle and Cello, and that was sort of the jump of my professional music career. In addition to another little sect of music in the DC area on the U Street corridor where I met W. Ellington Felton and Raheem Devon. Mm-hmm. So it was a moment of explosion, that Coco record, and it was really like a culmination of all my life up to that point.
And you did your thing on that one. Did they also work on the next one also, The Beauty of?
Yeah. There was still like in the mix, and you know, as that record came about, the second record came about, I was getting more into recording myself because I was like, okay, I looked and observed. You know, it's all been a journey to sort of be able to do that process by myself because I like to work in a moment. I don't like to work like, hey, can we get a studio session next week? Like, I really like to be in the moment. And so the beauty of was a little bit more, the Coco record was performed and produced by Sean the Rick Rickman. And we did that on analog half-inch tape. So it was 8 tracks, and by the beauty of it, I started getting into digital recording and like being able to record on my computer. So yeah, it's been a beautiful progression, and with every offering, I've learned so much more. It's more like a master class that I've been given to myself.
Now, when you was working with Michelle Ndegeocello, were you opening for her?
I was singing background vocals, and towards the end, I played a little guitar. But for mostly, it was a chance to be around monster musicians and people who, it was like a college education. I was fortunate enough to tour the world with her, and it really opened my eyes to the global aspect of music, and it was so amazing. Like just the people that I was around and the experiences I was able to be involved in was just priceless, and it really made me, who I am today.
Well, shoot, you might know my friends Arif and Betty.
They were there right before I came on. They were there the tour before that, but I know them by the recordings, and it's all a big chronological sort of lineage, so it's kind of like looking back on the family tree. So I know all these recordings. There was a recording from the Lilith Fair from 1996, and I think Arif and Betty was on that recording, and I remember listening to it and studying and all that stuff. So it's it's a very amazing lineage of amazing musicians who have gone on to do great things.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I'm going to play a little bit of So Glad off of The Beauty Of.
Mm-hmm.
That's my jam off of that. So I'm going to play that. Nice. And y'all check this out. Now, in case y'all want to find out where you can listen to this, all this is available on digital platforms. So if you want to go to Spotify, iTunes, these albums are on there. And what I like is that, sometimes when people have different names, you can't find it. Like Kay Allen and Kenny Allen are all underneath Kenny Allen's name. So, which I love. So you go to Kenny Allen, you'll find the Kay Allen stuff also.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to check this out. This is called So Glad.
And when we're apart, I'm still okay. presently. One look in your eyes and I become so mesmerized I fall into a trance, and I am so glad, so glad.
Yeah, you know what? I'm only giving everybody a little snippet because I want them to go out and download and follow you. So if they hear I don't want to give them too much.
No, you actually taking me back. You know, 'cause it's funny because once I release an album, I'm not one of them artists that be like, "Hey, listen to my music." Like I rarely listen to the old music. I'm always like, when I release an album, it's usually the trigger to start something new. So I haven't listened to these songs in many, many years, you know? So it's a pleasure, actually. You're taking me on a journey. You're taking me on my own journey.
That's what I love to do. You know, most of the artists that come on and say, you know what? Like you said, I haven't heard that in a while. You know, thank you for doing that. Thank you for playing. And what I like to play is like, especially, I like to play the songs that I like the best. They might not necessarily be what the single was or what everybody else listened to, but I like to play what I like. And the funny thing about it, most of the things that I like to play is what the artists liked also, is what are their favorite songs on the show, on the
Absolutely.
album.
I mean, it also shows like, you know, your commitment to, you know, putting this out there and giving us a platform. So I just want to say, you know, off the top, like, I appreciate you. And I recognize that from the beginning. The first couple posts I saw that you had on there, I was like, oh, he's one of the real ones. He's, you know, it's a kind of a dying breed of people who are not, you know, sort of clout chasing what's super in style right now, but it's always quality. You don't promote anything that's not quality. So I appreciate you. I just want to say that on the record.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you appreciated it.
Indeed, I peeped it, you know, right off. That's why I was like, you know what, I got to make this guy, you know, aware, you know, of what I've been doing, and you know, hopefully, enlist you as a supporter, because I know it's important for those voices to be present in the independent career. It's priceless, you know, what you do. So we thank you.
Thank you. It's totally an honor. I do it out of love and out of passion. That's it. You know, I wish some money came out of it, but
hey, you know, your reward is coming. You're gonna get it.
You know,
you're gonna get it.
So that's why I'm not even worried about it. It's all going to come into play and unfold the way it's supposed to. So
I'm still up and coming at 25 years and later. So, you know, it's the slow burn. It's the scenic route, and the things that you can see on the scenic route are the things that, you know, live on for generations. So, you know, I never did this thinking like, okay, let me write a hit song or whatever. And I just felt weird. Every time I did that, it would always revert to like the core of me, because I felt a responsibility. I feel very connected with my talents and the higher power, you know? So I know that none of this is really me, and I'm just a vessel. So I never wanted to misuse my talents, you know, for the sake of trying to get something, you know. I always wanted to be known for being myself.
I agree. I totally understand that one.
Hi, this is Mason. You're listening to my friend Troy on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
I was thinking about something because you said you like to do everything. Like you record a song, do the video, send that all in the same day. So you must play a bunch of instruments.
Yeah. I play guitar. I play bass. I do some drum programming. I play keys. I started off as piano when I was 3 years old. My mom taught at a music conservatory. And after school, so I used to go to the music conservatory, and there was like, you know, several studios with pianos in it. And, you know, I never learned how to read music because I was always too impatient, because I always just wanted to write songs. So I got busted one time. My piano teacher called my mom and said, "Can you come in for a second? I don't think Kenny's reading the music." I used to memorize the lessons and just play it back for her. And then I got busted. And then all of a sudden, that was really the launch of me in my real music making career, because I no longer had to be subjected to the lessons, but I regret that. I wish I had, been a little bit more studious into the theory. It helps when you are trying to communicate your original ideas to musicians, but so far so good. I've been able to, move through it.
Yes, you have. And you have when you was in Ethiopia and in DC, you have all this equipment at home that you can work on?
Yeah, I learned to be small. I learned to, because even when I was going back and forth to Ethiopia, they don't allow a lot of equipment in without taxation. So they'll charge you 100% tax on something, on your own stuff. So I learned how to be small, even with the video. I started with the GoPros and things like that so that I could just, get it in and be able to do it myself. I always wanted to be independent. I'm independent by nature. So I just learned it, and again, I had great friends around me, musically, the people I mentioned earlier. And as far as visuals, my man, W. Ellington Felton, he really was always about the DIY vibes. So I just learned it, and it was necessary. As an independent artist, you don't have the budget to hire a crew, and furthermore, in these days, these music videos aren't making you money. So if you spend $10,000 on a music video, it's for promotion, Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me go ahead and just help get my song out there and do it myself.
Well, you've been doing it because I've been checking it out also on YouTube and everything. So you have everything in place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We just got to get you out to the masses.
Absolutely. I just would like to jump on an opening act kind of tour in front of people, and I know that I can deliver the goods. Even I'm not. One of the things that I do regret is when I do it myself, I spread myself equally over the aspects. So if I don't have to press record, I know that I'm going to even be better. The moment I'm able to kind of delegate some of the tasks to other people, I know the moment I'm going to be able to really elevate in the music, which is, all I really ever wanted to do anyway.
Oh, believe me, I got that. I get that totally because last year, well, this year, should I say, earlier this year, really just 2 months ago, I put a show together, but I worked on it since February.
Mm-hmm.
And I did everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, from promotion to, sponsorship, getting people for sponsorship to, to where I wanted to look. I mean, everything. And I'm like, good Lord, I'm tired. I was glad when that show was over with because I could rest for a minute. And the day I'm running all.
I've been in that fatigue moment for the last 20 years, to be honest.
So we mentioned Stevie Wonder earlier. Stevie Wonder's everybody's influence.
No doubt. I mean, he laid the blueprints,
Right. So
I can't think of anybody who laid a more distinct blueprint. Obviously there's been great singers, but especially for me being an instrumentalist as well, it's he really showed that musical aspect of it and blended all the genres and just made it so soulful and heartical,
I totally agree.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, because that's what I was going to ask. And I was going to say, well, I know Stevie Wonder is one of the influences. What else? Who else would you say has been an influence on you?
Yeah, in the early stages, I was really much into singers like Joni Mitchell. I'm from the singer-songwriter tradition, so I that's why there's no real genre specific thing about my music. Is that I was always trying to tell the story. So I dealt with Sting and Joni Mitchell and Sade and Bob Marley and Prince and Marvin Gaye and even the rock bands. I was into the alternative music like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden back in the early 90s, So, my thing was always about telling the story. I'm an English major. There was a literary element to my music. At least I try to, I'm far from the best, but, even further from the worst. So, it's always a literary I always think about how to put my lyrics in the most poetic and non-cliche way. Sometimes cliches are, you can't avoid them, but I always just try to be literary with the lyrics.
And I get that. That's what I'm saying. What I love about your music is that everything is, like I said, it's pure. And I get the alternative. Remember when I came on, I said it's a little alternative. It's a little world music. It's just you cannot put you into a box. And I think that's probably the problem with people that listen to music. They want to put somebody into a box. You can't be put into any category.
When you think about a John Mayer or even Sting, like Sting was so cross-genre over the course of and he dealt with the jazz musicians.
Yes.
You had to be a bad musician to play with Sting, and you had to be versed in all kinds of music. Same with Joni Mitchell. She played with the giants of jazz, so my dad's a jazz drummer. So I've known jazz since I was, barely walking. So it's all coming from like a sort of intelligent approach to music, where the intellect and the soul meet halfway. That's always been like where I came from musically.
And I love it. Good music crosses all genres as far as I'm concerned. Because if you play a song here that's a good song that people, really resonates with somebody here, it's going to resonate with somebody in Japan, somebody in Africa, somebody in New Zealand, because it's just good music.
It's a vibration, and our bodies respond to vibrations in a very innate and human kind of way. So that's why, when I was living in Africa, like I was listening to all the music I was listening to, I didn't understand a word they were saying, but it was some of the most powerful and most like moving music I ever heard, and usually when you come in from the source, meaning like a traditional music brought into modern senses, you have that deep root to the old stuff. And that anything that's old, you feel old things, like you see the mileage and you see the life that it's lived. And so that's what I try to just get into that groove of like what is classic and what is vintage and things like that. So
yeah, that reminds me of growing up when you would hear the K-Tel commercials. Get Billie Holiday's greatest hits. Get Fats Domino. Get all those people. I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of good to me. Let me dig back and listen to that stuff. I would listen to all of that stuff.
Absolutely. K-Tel, I remember
that. And I try to convey that to my daughter now. I'm like, all right, you need to go back and listen to this person a little bit. Listen to this person. I mean, I know she into her modern day stuff, but I want her to know the older stuff also.
It's definitely there's something to instilling an appreciation of things that have lasted to new generations. If you can get that in them, they'll be great for life. Like, because they won't be starting from where they started from. They'll be starting from before that. And that's an amazing, that just broadens the horizon mentally, like it's a good place to be in this world, especially now, one should have access to the roots of things.
Yeah. I can see you as a teacher. You ever thought about that? Being a professor?
My mom was a music teacher for 30 years, so I do have education in my household, but I do have the desire to sort of do public speaking and that kind of thing. I'm, in high school, I was class president. So, there's a degree of diplomacy within me, and I'm for it. I just have to have patience. That's the thing that I'm working on most.
Well, I'm going to play something very quick off of 2003.
Okay.
Verse 1 in chapter 3. I'm going to play 1,000 times.
Yeah, like that one.
So I'm giving you all a little history until so we can make it up to the latest album.
Cool.
But I also want right after this, we're going to go into the Ethiopia years, shall we say.
Cool. That'd be great.
So check this out, y'all. This is 1,000 times.
noticing something good when it crosses my eyes. And whether she tall or short, light or dark, it really doesn't matter if she's fine. If she's fine. Now I know there's much more to it, and even scientists could prove it. Get so sure by the beautiful one. I said I fall in love about 1,000 times a day. Fall in love, fall in love, fall in love. I said I fall in love about 1,000 times a day. Fall in love, fall in love. And even more, if I look up and she's looking into my eyes, what a pleasant surprise, surprise. Something about the inner feeling of a mutual attraction makes me crazy, drives me wild. Now I know I should control it, 'cause it's all so superficial. But sometimes I can't help myself. I said I fall in love about 1,000 times a day.
You can hear the sound change a little bit. It gets a little more lusher in your delivery on this 2003 offering.
That was post D'Angelo, post Voodoo. Voodoo changed my whole sonic pleasure point, if you will. Like once I heard Voodoo, I was like, oh, okay. And I was starting to sort of get a little bit more into hip hop and that kind of thing. So it was a turning point. It was definitely a turning point, and it was a moment where I really started really doing the heavy lifting in the production of things. That also features my man John Lane and T Fox. John Lane is out with Odyssey, the hip hop artist, also from this area, and a guy called E.L. Copeland, who's an amazing sound engineer. He basically gave me a crash course in musical engineering, and I got the Korg Triton keyboard, so I was arranging things on the keyboard. So it was definitely a new sort of bend in the corner for me.
Yeah, you can hear it.
But that D'Angelo was that Voodoo record was the new benchmark by that time.
Definitely. So right after this, or shortly after this, you moved to Ethiopia. So how did that come out to be? What made you want to do that?
I was performing with a singer named Wayna. She's an Ethiopian singer from this area as well. And we were doing a concert, and the promoter of that concert asked her, anybody like this guy who want to come to Ethiopia for 6 months? I'm opening up a club. And I had been on the road with Michelle for a couple of years and had gone through Europe and Asia and that kind of thing, but I'd never been to Africa. And so I said, you know what? Let me try this out. Let me see what it's all about. So I said, okay, 6 months, got nothing to lose. I'm a skip through a cold winter, and I'm gonna get a little bit of Africa in me. And it was definitely another hard turn, So yeah, I ended up 6 months, ended up turning into 16 and a half years.
Wow. So how did you feel? Did you feel like you were home? Did you feel what's the difference you felt from living in Africa than from being in the United States?
It's kind of the difference between looking at a house from the front of the house and looking at a house from the back of the house. Imagine a glass house even, you see all inside, but it's a different perspective, and to really feel what Africans think of us as Black Americans, and even in a place like Ethiopia, which is completely unique from the whole continental experience, it was definitely a different angle of life, and it's huge. It's humbling, because in a place like that, you see the richest of the richest and the poorest of the poorest, all in the same, walking the same stride of life. So, it opened my mind up in a very, very rapid and extreme kind of way, and I learned so many different things and learned about so much music. And I really did explore the depths of being an independent there, because if I wasn't doing it, it wasn't getting done the way I wanted it to be done. So I really got deep into, all aspects of production. I started mixing and mastering and producing for other artists, a very vast genres, like even traditional Ethiopian music. I kind of got a little niche in that, dealing with very different kinds of musicians and things like that. So I was doing some movies over there, got into fashion hardcore there, like had my own leather bag brand. So it was really a whole life in itself, a whole lifetime in itself.
Mm. Would you say that being there, you was able to grow more than you would have been here?
I say that I was able to grow differently there. I was able to maybe grow left and right instead of up. You know what I mean? So, I do feel now that I'm back in the States, I do feel like I missed a whole generation, if you will, of musical growth, because, folks started like taking that raw talent and going to music school and getting degrees in music. And now, like, the level of musicianship that I'm witnessing here in America, and especially after this pandemic where everybody was sort of like feeling comfortable showing what they do in their own little home videos, like the level of musicianship is just off the charts right now. People are doing things like so extremely amazing, that it becomes like almost like a circus, like how incredible of a musician you could be. So one of the things that I pride myself in not having gone through that is being, the experience. One thing you can't take from a person is experience. And, I got some really amazing experience and discipline and patience. So yeah, I feel something, but I also need to learn how to not compare myself and my journey with other people. My thing is unique, and it's maybe yet to reach the iceberg of, value, if you will. I do feel sort of like, man, everybody's so good these days. I'm no longer needed, but my experience and what I offer is different. And I'm learning how to embrace that.
Hey, this is your girl Castella, and I am listening to my friend Troy on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
Would you think about bringing back your bag line? Because I saw it online. I mean, I loved it. I wish I knew about it back then. I would have got me one or two.
I know. Well, in that meantime, I also sort of adopted a vegan lifestyle. So I'm sort of like torn between leather products and the ethical aspects of them. So what I've been doing here is I've been trying to figure out how I can do that without, using a slab of beef.
Right.
So I'm learning, I'm discovering how, other more sustainable and eco-friendly things. It's something that's really, it's never too far from my thoughts, but I'm really just trying to find my bearings. It's a culture shock, if you can imagine that. I can imagine. It's always been that way. Every time I come home from there and return here, it's been like a culture shock, but now really just settle into the American sort of way. And even at a time where it's post-pandemic, where everybody's trying to figure it out. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But, thankfully I have, good people around me and I'm doing my best, and artistically I feel stronger than ever, and I'm incorporating the new colors that I learned in the continent, at the same time going back to my roots, which is all that stuff from the three first albums, like really.
Well, I'm going to play a little Abyssinian Girl.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So check this out, yo. This is from 2009, and the album is the 251. Now, what is a 251?
251 is the area code of Ethiopia, the 251. Yeah. You know how they were talking about, that I got pros in area codes.
Yeah. So
that's that. So 251 is the country code.
Because I'm going to say, but that's not DC. So that's okay. So that's Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so check this out, yo. This is Abyssinian Girl.
Anchikonjo, where the shallow. Anchikonjo, where the shallow. This is the song about my days in the 251. Met a lot of beautiful girls and I had a lot of fun. Now I think it's time for me to make a home. Cause when I gotta face the music, don't wanna do it all alone. I've never seen another kind of woman like you. From the inside to the outside, you do it for me. Abyssinian girl, I've learned so much about your world. Now it's time to make you mine. I think it would be right on time. Abyssinian girl, I've learned so much about your world. Now it's time to make you mine. I think it would be right on time. When I first arrived, everything was so brand new. I didn't even really know how to speak to you. Studied all my lessons, now you can hear what I say. This is one of the best things that ever happened to me. I never knew this kind of love existed anywhere. From your eyes to the skies, breathtaking every day. Abyssinian girl, I've learned so much about your world. Now it's time to make you mine. I think it would be right on time. Abyssinian girl, I've learned so much about your world. Now it's time to make you mine. I think it would be right on time. Anchikonjo, where the shallow.
Yeah. I like that groove right there.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, this music is so transporting. Like it reminds me of the exact time and place I was. Every time I listen to, with every song you played, it reminds me of the exact feeling I had in that time period. So that was definitely the real formidable years of Ethiopia. That was the one. And, just learning a new language, learning a new culture, eating new foods and all kinds of stuff like that. It was such a life experience. I can't even describe it, So I'm actually quite glad that I was able to put a full stop on that, meaning like it was a period that ended, because it could have easily gone for the rest of my life, but I didn't feel like that was my path. I felt like I had to get back on the main highway. I was going deep into the town, but I had to kind of like get back on the highway because I still felt like there's other works to be done. And I'm so grateful for that time. And I don't have any regrets about that decision to go there and spend that time. It took a lot of my real solid energy years, as an adult, but I do feel like there's a degree of preservation that happened to me by not kind of being in the pressure cooker of the States, So now I'm like ready to, make the most of that extra, that additional time as they do in soccer, like that last 4 minutes, you get to just really do your thing. So beautiful times.
Because I was wondering, I was like, well, why would you come back here? A lot of people go to Africa and stay. They say, all right, I'm home. I don't want to come back to the United States forever, especially with all the crap that's going on around here. Why would I want to come back there? So
yeah, I mean, I had a great life in that regard, but like anything, you can't get everything at one time, no matter what you do in life. Those times you feel like, oh, it's so good, and then the car breaks down or whatever. Life is not meant to be sort of like, in full comfort, especially not as an artist, and there are other elements that, I had to come back to. I had to reconnect with family. I had to reconnect with the core of myself, which really stems from those first albums. And, the songs that you've chosen also have this sort of recurring theme of the hopeless romantic. And in reality is that the whole time I was always like really just tied to the music, and no matter what I was trying to look for, I was always sort of having it with the music, so it's and I don't know if you know anything about Ethiopia, but there are some of the most beautiful women in the world over there. And I felt like, damn, after 16 years, I didn't find what I was really looking for. I probably should just go back home. Not that was my sole purpose, but it was definitely a thing that it was an anchor. and I said, you know what? I'm not really connecting, because at the core of me, there is Marvin Gaye and there is Stevie Wonder, and I need to have I need to be with somebody who knows about good times and who knows about what's happening. Like I needed that sort of American roots connection, and so yeah, that was it. But it's always in my heart. Every time I feel down, I will treat myself to Ethiopian food, because that's one of my favorite aspects of Ethiopia is the food. And there's a vegan option on that, and I just feel like comfort food for me.
and you put out quite a few albums while you were in Ethiopia.
It's funny because at first I was in a bit of a writer's block. Life was so brand new, and like that 251 album came like 4 years after I had been there, and I had been trying, like I would go to like historical landmarks and just sit there with my notepad, and nothing was coming out. But what I do know is that you have to live in between these creative moments. It's essential that you put life into the middle of those, and that's the only way the work is going to really be reflective of the times. And yeah, at a certain point, I just got really into it, like into churning it out. Even in 2021, 2022, that whole year, I committed to putting out a single every month with a video too. So that was really like a boot camp for, getting it done and getting it out the door. I was on a real beautiful cycle of like it was every 12th of the month. It was called 12 for 12. So I did a song a month for a year and released it on the 12th of every month. And that was amazing time. I really enjoyed that.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. As you look, I'm like, wow, he's got these songs. He's just churning these songs out.
Yeah, it was a personally driven initiative. I wanted to like keep myself engaged, because the idea of making a whole album was so time consuming and so, out of the moment. You make these records, and by the time it comes out, you're like already in a different place. So by doing it month to month, I committed to putting out a fresh perspective every month. And I enjoyed that. I would do it again, actually. I would do it again.
Well, I'm just want to tell the people the albums that came out in 2009. We already talked about the 251, and in 2012 was Free.
Mm-hmm.
I love Don't Hold Back My Star and Free. Relax Your Mind.
I linked up with a French production team on that one. I did a lot of that music in Paris, which is like my first time sort of like being in Paris for a long period of time, and I fell in love with that place. It's one of my biggest inspirations and places to be.
You ran into these people in Ethiopia, and they said, "Come to Paris."
We had a mutual friend, and who was that they had produced some music for him, and I was like, these guys are really good. I wanted to share with them the draft I did, and they were like, "Wait, don't put it out. We want to like take it to the next level." So I ended up spending a month in Paris and like doing this. It was like a dream come true. Like spending time there and walking the streets and, walking to the studio past the Eiffel Tower. It was just something else. And so they're called the Future Paradise. David F. and Chris Petit. They were very, very inspirational to me. And then I hooked up with my man Dre King. We released an album that same year called Common Thread. With my man Dre King, who's an amazing producer and trumpet player. So that was that year. I thought that year I was about to take off. 2012 was the year.
Well, let's play Free, because that's the title song of this album, and it's just a great ass song.
I hear that. I ain't mad at you.
She liked to dance to the beat of a different drum. She's amazing in ways that you just couldn't imagine. And she's the only one I know who could make me take me, elevate me to a place I've never known. She is all day long. She'll be laughing and dreaming about the days that have yet to come. And even though she felt secure in my arms, past things restricting the vibe thing going on. She just wants to be free. She just wants free. We like to bask in the heat of the summer sun. It's engaging, we're painting pictures, we're lovely feelings of hope for tomorrow. We had no regret or sorrow.
You know what I love? Your voice is just you do just the right amount on each song. You never try to overdo too much.
Yeah.
It just floats with the music.
I appreciate that. I never wanted, I want to, Quincy Jones says, always leave space for God to walk in the room. Mm-hmm. So I really apply that to really my whole life. It's like, I try to just, I always have a process of taking things out. I put it all in and then I take it out until I get to what's necessary for the song, And that was there's so many beautiful people on this record. Like there's Ali Defo on the piano. There's a guy called Dom Bricky, who's an amazing singer in Paris. I linked up with my real close friend, Ebony. She's from Jamaican and Trinidad roots and lives in Ethiopia. There's Roger Brawandu on the drums. And I'm in Vienna, who's a West African guitarist. Like it was a real, that time I was like, this is it. Like, we're about to go a world tour now. So it was a real turning point that year also, because I had put out these 2 records that got picked up on a label in Japan, and I was really looking forward. But it was the moment I realized there's more to music in the music industry than the music, That was the time where you really needed publicists and a marketing budget and all this other stuff. And it got real dark after that. When I say real dark, not really, but I was really discouraged, and that's really when I started doing other things, after that time. That's when I really got into the fashion. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do music for fun. And I'm gonna produce other people who have the drive still. But, fortunately it came back,
Yeah, well, it came back like about 5 years later, huh?
Something like that, Yeah, I was like, all right, it's time to do something again. 2018. Yep, that's probably about right when it happened, when the new things came.
Yeah. So was it in was this 2017 or was it 2018? Journey
2017.
Journey to Forever. That came
out.
Yeah,
Journey to Forever was the first next album I had recorded after that time. And I really enjoyed that, you know. I enjoyed the whole. I really do enjoy recording an album. Like that's why I've sort of spent my last 25 years always engaged in doing an album. And you know, at that time I had a friend who really kept saying, "So when you're gonna put out a new album?" I'd be like, "Can you get off my back? I'm gonna do it when I'm ready." But if it wasn't for that pressure, I probably wouldn't have done any more albums. But that pressure was needed, and it kept the whole fire burning inside. And finally I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and put out another record. And from that, it really kept it going. And I kind of made a pact with myself. I said, you know what, no longer am I defined by what I do, but I do what I love. And I was no longer like, I have to do this. It was like, I'm going to do this because this is what I love to do. And this is what helps me, you know, get through life.
I totally agree. I mean, shoot, like I said, that's why I do this podcast, because this is what helps me get through life. I mean, I've always been into music. I always love music. I like performing music sometimes. And I built up a rapport with different artists. And I said, you know what? Maybe I can, you know, start this podcast and get their music out there, you know, let other people hear it, you know?
You're so needed and so appreciated. So again, I do want to say thank you for this, because many times we don't get to tell our story. You know, these are the stories yet untold. And, you know, I do have a great feeling that if only one person really connects to me and my journey from this, then we have really done something monumental. So again, I'm always grateful and I'm always thankful for that.
I agree with you. And it's my pleasure. Let's go to Beautiful Motherland right quick.
Beautiful Motherland. What a song. What a tune, they say.
And this is also off of Journey to Forever from 2017. And
I started really getting into like the African music. I started really appreciating like this sort of African guitar playing and things like that. And I really just wanted to give it up, man. There's so much beauty in Africa, and the people are so filled with a deeper connection to love, like a real heartfelt love. So, yeah. And, you know, and I'm glad you're playing a song that's not me pining over some woman. So I did have other aspects to my music too. So this is a good one. This is a good one. And I love my mother a lot. So that also should be noted.
Most definitely. So this is Beautiful Motherland, y'all.
Back on the days I've lived in Africa, first in my family. I'm here to plant the seeds. Future shines brightly, a brand new liberty. All of my hopes and dreams became reality. I came home, place where the ancestors roam. Come home, you'll walk the streets and find that you're not alone. Thinking of all the ways living in Africa has made me realize.
I I think all of us as African Americans find time to go to Africa.
Yeah, man. The funny thing is though, one thing I will say is like, I don't always feel that Africans embrace us as their own who's returned. And that's the thing I wished I felt a little bit more. That sort of like, he's our brother kind of thing, you know? It's so, you know, even the continent of Africa is so divided. And I think that's what's really holding that continent from being, I mean, everything you could ever imagine exists in that continent. And if they were able to sort of come together in an African unity, it would be like lights off for all these other people, because all these minerals, I say we, because I still feel that connection to Africa in that way, but all the minerals and the natural things, you know, Africa is a place of natural resources. And when I say natural, we forget how powerful that is, a natural resource, not fake, not created, not man-made. And so it's so powerful. And I just wish that I had felt a little bit more sense of oneness with the people. They always wanted to make me the foreigner. So that's the one thing I wish was a little different. But, you know, it's a beautiful thing. And yes, it's so expensive even to travel within Africa, let alone to travel from here to Africa. So it's usually money, but I would just recommend that any person of color who lives in the Western world to definitely check it out. It's a human awakening, you know, to be there amongst, you know, what is old, the old world, you know, the real old world, you know, they call Ethiopia the cradle of mankind, you know, and it's so enriching to be in places that have been around for 2,000 years and things like that. I've seen some of the most beautiful things there.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Russell Taylor, and you're listening to my man Troy Saunders on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
I was able to go to Nigeria. I wish I was able to stay a little longer, but that was an experience there also. And I went the day after Obama got elected president.
So I know there was a big sense of pride, right?
Oh my goodness. When we all got off the airplane, everybody was jumping up and down because, you know, the plane came from the United States. So they was like, Obama, Obama, Obama.
Yep.
They was like, did you vote for Obama? I was like, of course. What are you talking about? You know?
I took an African ancestry test last year, and apparently I have Igbo roots in Nigeria. So it's definitely on my radar to visit there one day and really connect with that depths, with the depths of where I'm coming from. So
yeah, I did the same thing, ancestry, a DNA test, and it came back with every part of Africa except for South Africa was part of the DNA, but the majority was Nigeria also. So.
My cousin,
right? So yeah, I think another thing about DNA test, a lot of people should do that also, because then you realize that it's more to you than what you think is a part. You know, everybody said, "Well, I'm so and so," and the DNA test gonna come back and tell the truth.
I was quietly hoping that I had some genetic roots to Ethiopia. It would have been poetic, but that wasn't the case. But what I do know is that a lot, you know, there's a lot of origin in Ethiopia, and a lot of people migrated from the east to west because they were nomadic people, you know. And I have a friend who's from Senegal, and he says there are certain people in Ethiopia that remind him of like people from Senegal. And what I learned later is that through that sort of herding, like sheep and things like that, they move, you migrate, you can't stay in one place for so in a way they're all connected, you know, by origin. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. Well, you know what, we can go through all these, because, you know, I got like about 20 songs that I highlighted,
And I appreciate it. I hope you're I'm not gassing you out with my life over here, and I'm happy to go through the journey.
Oh no, I mean I love going through it, but I said, shoot, we're gonna be here for like 2 hours if I go through all these songs. But
you can fast forward if you need to.
I'm gonna play from 2019. I got to play this one. I don't know. What do you think? No letting go or wary.
No letting go. Yeah. That's really when the Nigerian, the Afro beats thing kind of kicked in my music.
I agree. So that's why I said I'm going to play that one.
Okay, cool.
So check this. This is from 2019, and it's on Mind Over Matters, which has there's so many great songs on there. Also, In My Heart, Mind Over Matters, the title song, Where Love Don't Live, and you have a remix on that also.
Yeah, good stuff.
But we're gonna listen to No Letting Go.
If I had to do it all again, I don't think that I would change a thing. 'Cause every step I take has led me here, even times when it didn't seem clear. I had the chance to see so much of this world, and there's so many places that I have yet to see. And even when I feel like giving up on my dreams, I get a feeling that I can't ignore. There's just no letting go. Just a boy, stories of the greats I would explore, and each one would have a struggle time. Never easy, always a grind.
I hate to fade that one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that was me in an upful moment of music, like I was really dialed in at that time. And, from it all kind of, it definitely all connects, because I really developed this love for the bass guitar on tour with Michelle. So that song has a real pronounced bass line on it. And from the time in Ethiopia, their music is very melodic, very melody driven. And I started writing sort of in the way that they write, based on melodies, and really honing in on the melody, not a lot of ornaments, but really being like, this is the melody. I'm sticking to it. I'm committing to it. So it was a beautiful new take on songwriting that I gathered while I was over there. So yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I hate to even fade it. I said, I said, it definitely got an asterisk. I said, I got to play this.
And props to you for taking the time to dig in. And there's quite a bit of material out there, and and I could tell that you really got in because you're picking the gems over there.
Hey, I would be not doing it due justice if I didn't get into it. If I wasn't really getting into the artist.
No doubt.
Plus I love to hear new music. I love listening to it. So, like I said, it's all my pleasure. I love it. We have Mind Over Matters, which is this album that we just listened to. And, at least one of the songs off of it. And once again, everybody, if you didn't know, we're talking today with Mr. Kenny Allen. Yes. I forget to say these things because I get so into the conversation. I was like, oh, wait a second. I need to say something in case folks don't know. And I think about your 2020 offering. To me, I call it the COVID album for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was the most amazing experience for me. It felt like the first time in life that the rest of the world was on pause and I could like work in a moment that I didn't feel like I was like in a hurry and nothing was going on around me. And I pretty much locked myself in my house in Ethiopia. And I was making basically like a song in a day. And like I had my cameras a little rolling and I was just documenting like all parts of the process and just putting it out. I love the idea of like, writing a song in the morning, recording it in the afternoon, editing a video and putting it out at night. Like I became sort of like really into the multimedia part of making music during that process. And I really, really loved it. I really loved it.
Between 2020 and 2023, you were just throwing the singles out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like, I stopped filtering and I stopped like really like being obsessed with things that weren't important in the music. Like I was not in search of a perfection, although doing things in a thorough manner is always sort of part of my process. But I learned to let go a little bit and sort of like be in the moment. And that was more of the operative overview. It's like I learned to be more in the moment.
Hey, this is Devon Howard, and you're listening to BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
How was COVID dealt with in Ethiopia?
It was not as impacting as it was globally, but we took all the same measures, So it was equally as sort of debilitating, if you will, economically and socially, and everything did change, and but for me, I felt like it was one of my most productive times, and bless the souls of the people who did not come out of that period. It was one of my most incredible times as an artist. I really enjoyed what I did during that time, and I was blessed. I had an uncle who passed away before that time, who looked out for me in life at that time. So I was able to do things a little bit more intentionally, financially. So I was really investing in myself during that time and was able to kind of like employ other people to help me, during that time with tracks and, collaborations and contributions. So it was actually an amazing time for me artistically. It woke me up artistically.
And so many wonderful songs came out of it, like Feel Like the Sky Is Falling.
And I remember that day. I remember that exact day that I recorded that. I was really in it. So in it because in March 12th, 2020, I believe it was, we did a fashion show for my bag line. And that was the first night that anyone had reportedly had a case of COVID in Ethiopia. And from that next day on, the whole thing shut down. So, I was locked in my house and just made this More Love Now EP. And I really was connected emotionally to the creative process. And I really, really loved it. I loved that moment. Like, it was so quiet around me. Mm-hmm. And it was really a moment where I could hear my thoughts very clearly. I didn't have to go anywhere. I was just in the house connecting with the feeling.
Let's play a little bit of that. Feel Like the Sky Is Falling, because you gave us such an eloquent definition of what you were feeling. So let everybody hear a little bit of that.
I've seen it before in a scene. future. Years ago, I'd heard stories of plans to revoke basic freedom. I never thought that it would be something I would see in this lifetime. But it's not hard to believe, 'cause it's easy to deceive all the minds now. Feels like the sky is falling. Feels like the sky is falling.
Yeah. I like you use a different part of your voice on this song.
Yeah. I
Makes it more falsetto.
was emulating like singers like Jeff Buckley, like these sort of. I don't know if you've heard Jeff Buckley. He's a guy who sang Hallelujah, but it was guitar. It was guitar and voice, very specialty kind of thing, and it was definitely an alter ego of voices. It was something. I was listening to a guy called he's from the UK. Why can't I remember his name? There's another singer. Reiki. His last name is Reiki.
I think I heard of him. I haven't heard.
Yeah, he has that kind of like voice. I think it begins with a J, something J Reiki. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. But I was really inspired by these videos he was putting out about how he would make a song in a day, kind of thing. So Jordan Reiki from the UK. He's a dope singer, songwriter, producer, and I was dialed in that. And I was like, you know what? I like that voice.
It sounds good.
Let me see what I can do with that. 'Cause, the voices sort of dictate what kinds of stories you can tell. And, I had to sort of find new voices to tell different stories, that were appropriate. You can't be like, all R&B-ish talking about things that are more rocky.
Right.
So it was a process of finding new voices. I love that song.
Well, but that's what I love about your voice, and I love what you do, is that you cover all genres. You don't limit yourself to one type of thing, and that's special.
Appreciate that.
In 2021, you came out with a whole bunch of songs there. You were just throwing out singles all over, and you had a EP in there too, right? No, that was 2022 EP.
Yeah, 2022 was the EP. Yeah, 2021 was the year I did 12 for 12.
Right.
So that was a single every month. And like I said, that was a really, really incredible time. And I also got a lot more into the visual aspect of it. I was sort of making these videos with cameras and phones and things like that. It was the first time like you could use an iPhone and make something that looked like, an actual camera. So some of those videos that I did during that time were shot with an iPhone, and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. Like now I can finally because you can't really just pop up and shoot videos in Ethiopia because it's a very there's a lot of foreign dignitaries that walk the streets, so it's very, very policed on the federal level. So if you're in the middle of a cool place in town and you got a camera, you best believe you about to get pulled up on. So by the time having this a camera and an iPhone allowed me to kind of be in different places, but I also got in tune with a lot of great cinematographers and people in the film industry over there during that time, because I was desperate to get a visual out every month, and also got to connect with one of my dear friends I mentioned earlier, Wes Felton, W. Ellington Felton from the DC area, who's always been like at the forefront of my visual journey. So it was good time. 2020 and 2021 was, and that's when I really started thinking about maybe it's time for me to connect back home at the crib, you know? So it was a race to do something amazing all the time.
Well, I'm gonna play one of my specials off. Ones I really like is Cards on the Table. Yeah,
that was in the height of it. I actually, before you play that, I also say that song, there's a bit of civil unrest that's going on in the country, and at that time I did Cards on the Table. I literally had to be driven to a neighboring town in a time where I could have gotten pulled over and arrested for traveling, but I went somewhere else so that I could record that song in peace, because it was, you know, power was going out at my studio in Addis Ababa. And so I went to a neighboring town, and there was a beautiful, it was nobody at this little resort. It was on a lake, and it was really a moment, a special moment.
Well, you got so many good stories.
I'm working on the book.
Right? This is Cards on the Table, y'all.
We all living on borrowed time. Nothing in this world really belongs to us. So why do we try to hold on so tightly when everything under the sun fades eventually? What if we lived a little more, gave a little more? 'Cause we never know for sure when we're gonna fly away. When we're gonna fly away home. Every moment is a gift to behold, more precious than diamond, silver, platinum or gold. From now on I got nothing to lose, nothing to prove, choices to choose, and this one is you. I'm out on the line, I made up my mind, all good things in perfect time. All good things in perfect time. I am willing, I am able to put my cards out on the table. Lost so much, but I never lost my faith in you. Been broken, torn apart, down and out, alone, all kinds of blue. Dusted up back on my feet again, back in the race.
Yeah. That had so many elements to it, that song.
You know, there was a time around that time where I really, you know, if you're coming out of a global pandemic or in the midst of it, you know, it's no surprise that you start feeling the reality of immortality. And so I just really started, at that time, I was determined that every time in the morning before I picked up my phone, I really got into morning prayer. And it really got me more in tune to spirituality and you know, my faith and things like that. And that's really also another turning point in the music, is that I really had this sort of spiritual aspect to the music started coming out a little bit more, you know, and I figure, like, if I can commit to picking up my phone every time, the first thing I wake up, if I could just earn that right by, you know, giving thanks and praises every morning, and even at night, it's the last thing I do, it's the first thing I do in the morning. So that also really sparked, you know, creativity in the expression, the musical expression.
I'm just thinking about that whole process, you know, and how wonderful is that. That's a good thing to put out there. You know, prayer helps in all aspects, even in your creativity.
Again, it really reinforces the idea that, you know, music passes through us as creatives. You know, it's the idea that you can sit down one moment and in the next moment you have produced or projected a whole series of ideas and musical elements that create song. You know, it's a blessing to be able to do that, you know, and I got really, really into that starting around that time, you know, because there are moments where, you know, I didn't have time to wait for it to come. You know, I had to really dial in the moment to produce a song every month. You know, it was not only writing the song, but recording the song, mixing the song, sending it to DistroKid, making a video and putting it out. And I didn't miss 1/12 of the month for the whole year. You know, it was also a time of discipline. You know, I was in deeply into veganism at that time, the beginning stages of really hardcore being in that lifestyle. So everything was about discipline, you know, and that 12 for 12 was a real sealing of the deal of being a disciplined person, human being.
Well, you definitely pulled it off.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. It became, you know, and then it became a situation where I said, who are my friends? Because I could not do that on my own. You know, I did have to rely on my community and all the people who are on those records in that year. That's my core. When you learn your core, you really don't have to waste time on people who are out there wasting your time, you know? And that's a beautiful moment in life because ain't nobody got time to waste.
I know that's right. So that was 2021. 2022. I love going. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah. Those are the transitional records. You know, Gone was the last song I wrote while I was in America, going back to Ethiopia to collect all my materials, all my my life stuff. You know, so I was solid on that. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and end that chapter. And the next record, the Ciao Ciao Ciao, was the first record I did when I came back. A collaboration with my friend Ellington. Who his father is a Hilton Felton, who was an amazing organist and keyboard player and writer, and you know was dialed into Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. So, you know, we have been collaborating all this time while I was in Ethiopia. So it was only natural that I came back and really, you know, tapped in with him. He was one of the first people who was like, "Let's get to work," you know, and I appreciate that.
Hey, everybody, this is Yazira, and you're listening to Troy Saunders on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
That EP with Low and Be Home.
Yeah.
Every song is hot. You know, DC, Destination
Calling.
Which is,
you know, that I did that in 2 days, you know, like that was a 2-day project. It was so like, okay, we're going to do this. And that rapid fire that came from the 12 for 12, you know, I was already it was not hard for me to say what was on my mind, especially having gone through a transcontinental move back home. That was the most intense thing that I have ever done in my life, is move my whole life from Africa back to America. I can't say I know too many people who've done that.
Okay.
You know, you move from New York to DC, or, you know, from Brooklyn to Manhattan, but moving from Africa back to America was crazy. So I was all ready to let off some steam after that.
I can imagine. So that means, did you bring furniture and everything, or just leave furniture?
I left a lot of things, you know. It was a lot of my last year and a half has been like kind of like rebuilding my toolbox. You know, I left a lot of things, and it was a pleasure to leave things, because I left behind things that maybe a lot of people wouldn't have access to, you know. And I also allowed other people to get a jump start on their artistic journeys by all the little things that I had collected over the years. So
Right. So
it was cool.
That's like you paying it forward, paying back.
Absolutely. With pleasure. I love that. That's one of my biggest joys in life is to give, you know?
I'm going to go to the latest project.
Yeah, Colorama. Very just abstract. It was a neighborhood that my friend lived in, and that's where I wrote all the songs. I locked myself in for 10 days. From 2022 to 2023, I had collected all these instrumentals. I was just kind of making beats, quote unquote. And but I hadn't written to it. I had made this album of beats that I had made over the year, and then I just locked myself in my friend's apartment in Colorama, which is a neighborhood in DC, which kind of overlooks the White House and that kind of thing. So beautiful neighborhood, very much me connecting with the inner city of DC. It was accessible to all the real cool parts of DC and Colorama. I was like, okay, that's a vague yet cool title. And then it was born. And it was a series of lockdowns for me to just get this music out.
I think about the lockdown with COVID, and now the lockdown with this.
No, it was that. That's my method. Like, if I get too much space, I'll drift. You know, so if you put me in a room with a laptop and a paper and a pen, you know, I'm going to produce. You know, and the beautiful thing is I had already created this music, so the music was already there. So I didn't have to like write songs musically. I just had to get the lyrics done, and by that time, I'd spent a year back in the States, so I had a lot of stories to tell. I you know, it was easy for me to let go in that moment. And notably on this album, per the sort of guidance of my dear friend Ellington, who had just released an album and not put it on streaming platforms, I decided to make this direct to consumer because, you know, if getting 0.003 cents for a stream is not going to pay even a parking ticket. So right. I was like, let me see if I can enlist the support of my community on this hard work, because I ended up spending 5 months on this record, like as my job, you know. So I was like, you know what, I should be rewarded for that in a way. But you know, the climate of music these days is, you know, the reality is nobody's really thinking that music has a value monetarily. You know, it's almost expected that you're going to turn on one of these stations and it's going to just be there for you. So, you know, I'm grateful for my community for stepping up and, you know, giving back a little bit. You know, it wasn't no platinum seller, but I did sort of make up to this point have made more in a month or two than I had in 3 years of streaming. So Colorama is on, you know, and I'm just getting started on this record. I'm going to make some music videos and things like that coming up in the next month or so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, tell everybody where they can go in and download a copy or purchase a copy. Do you have are you just doing downloads, or do you have a CD also?
Yeah, it's a link, and you can find that on my Instagram, which is Mr. Kenny Allen. And that's pretty much, you'll get all the information. It's just a link. It's on a platform called Koji, which is a really dope platform for independent artists and independent content makers that would like to, you know, have people buy their digital content. So it's available now. And I will say that at some point I will have it on the streaming platforms, mostly so that I can add the music on stories.
Right.
That's seemingly the most valuable aspect of putting music on these platforms, is being able to integrate into Instagram stories and things like that.
You know how I wind up doing it?
How's that?
I recorded a screen with it playing in the background. And
I don't mind doing it manually. I mean, I do, but there's something more, you know, authentic, and when it shows up in the description. But yeah, we love it. We love what's going on, and I would definitely love for all your listeners, especially anybody who's gotten this far into this podcast to check me out on Mr. Kenny Allen on Instagram. And I also have another place, kennyallen.bandcamp.com, which has my whole catalog except for this most recent project. So definitely check it out there.
So on Bandcamp, they can download all of it and purchase it and download it.
Yeah, that's the most desired for, because again, 0.003 is a bit of a diss.
Yeah, it's a slap in the face.
It's a diss track,
right? As Snoop Dogg said, "Don't make you blah 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 blah." He was upset. Yeah. I ain't mad either. Let him know, Snoop.
Uncle Snoop, one of the greats of our time.
Yes, he is. And I think about that in hip hop and how artists started one way, and as you get older, you change, and either you mellow or you become more worldly or whatever it is. So we look at the kids nowadays, oh, they blah, 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 but that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all relative, and it does make sense. The levels of life are way more extreme than they were in our generation. The extremes get more extreme as generations go along. So, I'm sad for our generation, or for this generation a little bit, because I feel like they're missing a lot of human elements. But it's almost like a race to the moon. They're trying to go so fast, and there are some beautiful things about technology. And I just hope that we don't lose the heart and soul of the artistry in the meantime. And it's up to people like us who have the connection to the old days and have the visionary minds to go forward to preserve the tradition. I'm always a fan of preserving traditions.
Me too. Well, you know what? That brings me to Cup Runneth Over.
Yeah, that's the jam. That's the gratitude anthem of 2023 for me.
I agree. When I heard that, without a doubt, I'm not even asking Kenny. I'm playing it.
That's right. I love that. I love that song. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is off the latest album. We finally made it to the latest album. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. But we play some wonderful music up to this, and we're going to continue to play wonderful music. And I'm sure that you all have stayed with us and enjoyed this conversation, because it's been so informative, enlightening, and uplifting. And hey, we need that in our lives. There's so many things that's bringing us down. This podcast should not be it. Once again, this is Cup Runneth Over.
So hard, sometimes neglecting me. I do it for the love, do it 'cause it makes me feel free. I've been tired and in need of a break, and this place is my great escape. So long as there is air to breathe, so long as I can do what I believe. Grateful for the abundance of love. Wake up to the clear blue skies above. Wake up, runneth over. I've got more than I need. Don't ask for much, just my soul to feed. Rhythms and sweet melodies, good vibes and harmonies. I've been trying so long, remember having nothing but words and a notepad. Loves that I once had, log fires in the woods, time in the motherland, made me the man that I am. Connected to the inner child in me, keeps me young at heart with humility. May never thought that I would be, but I'm so glad for this opportunity.
What I love is that the song encompasses everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's a real. That's what happens when you speak from the heart. It's like it's the consistency is always going to be there. You're not going to be like, oh, but he said that earlier. Like, and I think you have really like authenticated my intention of just trying to keep it real at all times. You know.
Well, I want to play 2 more songs.
Alrighty.
I want to play the title song. And then I want to go out with Keep On Keeping On.
That's right. That's right.
That takes keeping on. I remember my parents and family always said, keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's right. it's age old. There's a thing about cliches. I hate to use them, but they always stand true.
It's so true. And even though, that's kind of is it a cliche or is it more like
an expression?
Right. That one is not quite that's an expression. Matter of fact, I don't think too many people even say that expression anymore, but that's an expression that we grew up.
No doubt.
Here in the 70s.
Calorama is the song. I was walking these dogs. It's a simple, it's not that deep, but it's just a moment. Again, I was really grateful to be in the city, that I'm from, and really it was the first time I was really settled back here in the States. And, had these 2 little dogs. I was walking in this very residential DC area. And it was like, sometimes I like to write songs very matter of factly, So, that's it. It was just a fun little ditty.
But you know what? It came out good. Sometimes, you need that little break from something deep all the time,
You already know.
You just need what's wrong? Well, with my throat. Guess I need something to drink. But you need that little light song sometimes just to clear the air. So this is that, y'all. This is Colorama.
Looking out the window, waiting for a sign, searching for the words to match the pictures in my mind. Top of the morning, shadows of the trees, people passing by, wind creates a breeze. Another Monday morning, another day alive, to stop and smell the flowers, enjoy the sunshine. Springtime in the city, how I've missed these electric moments, feeling so free. Colorama, you've been good to me. Glad to be in your good company. Walking dogs down your tree-lined streets. Beautiful view, such a sweet retreat. Before the summer hits and heat comes blazing, there's cafes and people watching, so amazing. Nighttime, lit by city lights, up on the rooftop where you can see all the sights. One day I'll come back and do it all again, and when I return, we'll catch up like some old friends. You owe me nothing, spark my heart and mind. Don't forget my face, I'll see you next time. Colorama, you've been good to me. Glad to be in your good company. Walking dogs down your tree-lined streets. Beautiful view, such a sweet retreat.
You know what? Even though it's light, it's still heartfelt. It's something that you went through. It's something. It's excuse me. It's something that is you still feel that you lived it.
It's vivid, I think.
Right.
it was a real moment. Like I was really sitting at the table with my laptop and my little headphones and microphone, laying down demos, and I was literally watching people pass by. You know, I'm grateful for my friend Naya, who just happened in the nick of time to need me to house sit and dog sit, because it was 10 days of just writing, you know, and my only job during that time was walking the dogs, you know, so it really was that. And I was so excited because I needed a space to be by myself and really kind of like hone in on writing these lyrics and things like that. So, and Kalorama, it's an old Greek word for beautiful views. And so I was like, oh yeah, because beautiful views for me was a double take. It was like, it was a beautiful place to look over across the city. And also it's something that I wanted to put into the music, beautiful views of life, how I was feeling and how I was looking at things.
So it all came together. I was like, bleep. When as soon as I came up with that, or that came through me, I was like, okay, we got one, guys. We got one. And I love the whole album is incredible. Yeah. Let me tell you, you would do yourself a disservice if you do not go out, download this album, purchase it, go to, and then share it. Share it to anybody you know, because, you know, music is something, good music is something that needs to be shared. So, you know, share it with everybody that you know, because this gentleman deserves all the accolades and more. As far as I
always say that a successful musician is somebody who's able to keep doing it. And I've been blessed to keep doing it. This is like my 13th project that I've done. There's a couple other ones that have kind of fallen off the digital radar, but you know, I've been at this for, you know, almost going on 30 years. And I'm just feeling very grateful that I've never once not been able to do it. And that is, to me, the meaning of success as a creative. So if there's any creatives out there, and I know a lot of people who have been doing it equally or a little bit less than the time I have, that are feeling like discouraged because the whole business model of the music industry has changed and people aren't making money, and you know, it's sort of a teeny bopper vibe going on. But I just encourage you to keep going. And again, if you reach one person, you change one person's life, then you've done a job that is almost saintly. You know, to change someone's life is not a lightweight human deed, you know? So I'm grateful, even if one person, you know, feels like I addressed their inner feelings that they could never express or put into words, then I feel like I've done my job.
I agree. And I know I don't think you were performing anywhere.
I'm about to. I'm working on that. You know, a lot of my friends, you know, I was doing this looping thing that the Ed Sheeran's, I was doing that back in like 98, 99, you know? And a lot of my friends are like, you should do the one-man show thing. But to be honest, I feel a little bit like a circus act, you know, stomping on buttons and looping myself. I really just want to sit down with my guitar and, you know, and just play music and play songs for people who are captive and quiet and ready to receive, you know, the things that I have to offer and the lifetime of music that, you know, lives within me. So I really do look forward to that. If God wills, then I would love to be in Europe and Asia and, you know, at quality venues, you know, with great, amazing sound and lights. And this time next year, and I'm putting it out there because I believe in the power of the word.
Would you want to do just an acoustic set?
I mean, I could do that. That's my roots. You know, all these songs really started, you know, on an acoustic guitar and my voice or on demos, and then they expanded. So, you know, but ultimately, to be really honest and frank, that I would love a full treatment of all these songs and have it sound just like the record. I would like that too. You know, I'd like it all. I want it all now. Give it to me, all of it.
Okay, I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm always.
But you know, you got to be prepared. You know, because I know budgets and things like that. there's not a lot of people who can just show up as a one person and give you the energy, that is needed to captivate a live audience. And, these singer-songwriters like the Ed Sheerans and the John Mayers are selling out Madison Square Garden, just them and guitar. So I'm saying, look, I'm not opposed to that. If I can do that, I can show up like that and prove it.
Because my mind is always spinning on show ideas and showcases and stuff like that.
Any show you have and you invite me, I'm on the next one smoking. So I appreciate your thoughts and feel free to include me. I'm for it. I'm definitely for it.
All right, cool. Well, hey everybody. Once again, thank you for sticking with us. This has been an incredible conversation. I love talking to Kenny and going through his life and his experiences and how the music affected, or how his life experience affected the music. And I hope you all enjoyed it also. And I just want to tell you, please support independent artists. Okay. I know there's a lot of choices out there, but independent artists is the place, it's where to be as far as I'm concerned. That's where you're going to get the most heartfelt, the most unique, the most passionate music out there. And Kenny is definitely one of those artists. And I want to thank Kenny for coming on and sharing his stories with us.
It's a pleasure. It's always a gift to be able to share your story. I know a lot of people get the platform to put their journey out there. And again, I just wish to inspire, and I wish to just keep on keeping on.
Hey, keep on keeping on. That's the song we're going to go out with, y'all. And once again, as we talked about earlier, it's about love. Let's continue to share love for one another. Let's continue to give love. Let's continue to give and receive, because sometimes you got to be open to receive in order to give. And hey, life is too short. We got to love one another. Love is in need of love today, as Stevie Wonder says.
That's right.
Let's continue to do so. And also, matter of fact, check me out. I have a song of a day that comes out on Instagram and my Facebook BAAS Entertainment page. And every day I highlight a new independent artist song. Please check that out on Instagram and Facebook. Also, go to my website, www.baasentertainment.com. There you can see all 85 episodes of the artists that have been on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast. Also, you can purchase BAAS merchandise. We have T-shirts, sweatshirts, candles. And right now, if you purchase a T-shirt, you'll get a candle at half price. So go on over there, get yourself a T-shirt, get yourself a candle, get yourself a hoodie. I only got a few hoodies left, y'all, though. But don't worry. Once they're gone, we're going to restock up. So, go on over there, check out the website, check me out on Instagram, on Facebook, on X, or Twitter. Now it's called X, and a YouTube channel where we do all the latest videos of independent artists. Matter of fact, I got to put some up here from Kenny on the BAAS Entertainment channel. And just look for more exciting things coming from BAAS Entertainment, and more shows. I'm working on some new shows, so that's what I'm talking to Kenny here.
That's right.
So once again, thank you and be blessed. And we are going out once again with Keep On Keeping On.
If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
In this life, we all gonna go through some hard times. In this life, we all gonna feel like our backs up against the wall. In this life, we'll all have moments we feel like giving up. In this life,
Hey, it's your girl, Allison Williams.
Hey, this is Devon Howard.
Hi, this is Beth.
Hi, this is Cindy Mizell.
Hi, this is Tony Walker.
Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Darian Dean.
Hey, everybody, this is the Queen of Philadelphia, Tangeray Hayward.
Hey, everybody, this is Yazira.
Hi, this is Mason.
Hey, everybody, this is Russell Taylor.
Hey, this is Shireen Crutchfield.
And this is Ricky Jones.
And we are Crutchfield Jones.
Hey, this is Corey Day.
Hey, this is your girl, Castella.
Hey, everybody, this is Rebecca G.
Hey, everyone, this is Hill Street Soul.
What's up, good people? This is bassist Hubert Hughes the Fourth.
This is Melvin Lee Davis.
Yo, what's checking? This is Noel Gordon, and you're listening to my man Troy Saunders on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast, baby.